It's a few minutes early. I like to get in here and get everybody logged in before I get started. Let's see who's going to join me tonight. Oh, they can support me by sending stars. We'll show that to everybody. I'm getting ready to go live on TikTok in a moment. I'm waiting for 8 o'clock to get a little closer, letting a few people log in. We have a couple of minutes. I have a few preparations going on. See, somebody's logged in. Say hello. I got on a little early just to let people have a moment to log in. I'll be going live on TikTok in a moment as well. And all these are saved and recorded on YouTube. I'm hoping everybody can see me and is doing okay, because there is another tornado going through here right now. If you're viewing me, say hello. That'll be wonderful, so I can communicate with you a little bit before we get started. We have one more minute before we go completely live. Oh, my one person left, it says. Guess they didn't want to talk. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I got some fun with me. All right. Oh, almost there. I'm going to go ahead and start the live. So we're going to go live. Go live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Touch in Eternity, the podcast. I'm your host, Sid Patrick, and tonight we're going to have some really interesting conversation. So we're going to talk a lot about, we're still in the mediumship series, but which should be coming to an end soon. So let me get to the full scene view. Hi, Glenda. Thank you for joining. And hi, everybody on TikTok. Thank you for those who joined there as well. So if you do come in, please say hello so I know that you're in the room, and please respond. The room is just now starting to fill up. I came on a few minutes early to let people get logged in and get signed in so that we can get moving. I will do a couple of card pulls at the end like I always do. Today I'm going to use the tarot and the symbology cards. You'll get one of each when we get to that point. But anyway, please let me also let me know if the connection, we just had a tornado go by, literally. Please let me know if the connection gets bad, so that I know that you are still with me. Or let me know if there's any breakup in the speaking. So anyway, I want to get into a little bit about talking about different types and styles of mediumship, and so that people can understand that there are various types of mediumship, and there are various styles of mediumship, and depending where you've studied or where you've been, what you might think mediumship is may not be the same. So we're going to have that conversation. Is my weather, it was moving northeast, so I don't know if it's coming your way, Glenda. We just literally had a tornado touch down about 5 miles, not even 5 miles, about 5 miles from here, and was moving to the west. So, it is bad. That was good. Thank you. I'm feeling better. But anyway, so we're going to talk about mediumship today. Again, if you are watching on TikTok, please, tap the screen, get me some hearts. If you are on Facebook, you can send me some stars. That would be great. To keep this, we'll keep the podcast going. So like I said, tonight I'm going to talk a lot about mediumship and a lot about the different styles, types, expectations. And then we're going to also talk a little bit about miracles And what is a miracle? What would you consider to be a miracle? And we're going to talk about those and how miracles are a lot of times personal to someone. What might be a miracle for me, you might not see as a miracle. But I see miracles just about daily in life. And so we're going to talk a little about those two. But first, I want to talk about the types of mediumship, just so y'all get an idea of how mediumship has evolved and developed and how it's got different sections. Hey, Jamie, my bestie, and how that goes. I know you can't go out this weekend, but I will be in this weekend and next weekend. So look for me. So we'll go hang out. But anyway, so let's first talk about what the kind of medium that everybody knows, and that's the mental medium. And a mental medium, or some people might call themselves a psychic medium. Some people might call themselves just medium. The reason why some people are called psychic medium, because if they're marketing themselves, they might be marketing themselves as a psychic and a medium, because all mediums are psychic, not all psychics are mediums. So it depends on the type of visit that you're looking for. And I know that there is some people that say there are no such things. That there are. They don't like being called psychic. They don't believe it. They should just be medium. Well, no, it depends on what you're doing with it. I sometimes depending on my arena or where I'm going to work, and so sometimes I will call myself a psychic medium, because some people come to me for psychic things like cards or numerology or intuition things. Some people come to me to talk or communicate or validate, because it really isn't communicating, it's validating that their loved one is on the other side and is with them. Not with me, it's with them. And that's another big misconception of mental mediumship. Mental mediumship is when someone can go into the energy field and move into the soul of a person and have some kind of communication. They can validate, give validations of their loved one from the other side. That's what mental mediumship is. Okay? And there are some parts of a reading that might be psychic, and there are some parts of a reading that might be more mediumship. I always tell people, especially when they come for a session with me, is that, if it is mental mediumship that you're seeking, okay, that some of that session might be psychic, but what's definitely the mediumship part of that section is if I tell you some information that you do not understand or you're not aware of, and then that information comes to you after our session, then that is the best evidence of life after death. That is the best, not only evidence, that's the best validation. We're trying to get rid of this because you're going to either believe it or you're not. Okay? So I always tell people that's the best validation that a medium can give you, is when you don't know the information and they definitely don't know the information, and then that information comes to fruition. It happens, and then you're like, wow, this person told me this. So that just means that my loved one was present. Or there was no way they could have known this because I didn't know it. They couldn't use me. Hi, Christy. They couldn't use me to get that information. So that's why I tell my students when I work with them, and I'm working with them and helping them unfold their mediumship, not to be afraid of no's. I welcome no's. If you don't understand what I'm telling you, I can only give you, as a medium, what comes to me or what my senses pick up, But again, if you can validate everything I say, am I reading that psychically through you, or is that your loved one talking to me, right? So the best evidence is when you get the no, and I keep using the word evidence. It's the best validation. I want to correct that. The best validation is when you get information that you don't understand, and trust me, the medium has no idea why they're telling it to you other than they're sensing it. Okay, so they're saying what they're sensing. And then you go home, or a day or so, or even the same evening, you locate or find, or something happens that you learn about something you had no awareness of. that is the best validation you'll ever get from a mental medium. Then there are mental mediums, Long Island Medium, all these ones you see on TikTok and other places, or mostly all mental mediums are claimed to be, as far as the TikTok world, but if they really are communicating, that's mental mediumship. There's also physical mediumship. Physical mediumship is where physical phenomena takes place during the session or in a seance sitting. A physical medium sits sits in the power and sits with the spirit, and sits with their guides. Oh, excuse me, sorry about that. We do have tornadoes going through. I just had another warning come across my phone, so I had to cancel it. But anyway, I'm surprised I'm even having this conversation because it is storming out there that y'all are able to even see me, so I'm glad about that. But anyway, physical mediumship was a physical phenomena happens, and I will give you an example of a true reading. And the other part of physical mediumship, hey Celeste, is that everyone present must witness the phenomena. It can't just be the medium saying, "Oh, that happened," or if there's a room full of people, just one person saw it. Now in the seance, it's dark, so if a group of people see something, a group don't, it's still a phenomenon because the room is completely dark. It's only the people that's around the lighted thing that's happening can see it sometimes or experience it, and that is the validation. So I'll give you an example of a physical phenomena that happened. I've had multiple happen during a reading, but one of the most famous ones, and I've told this story 100 times, so if you've heard it, just bear with it again. But I was reading a woman who lost her husband of 20 years, who was coming to see me. She had two boys that they loved. It was a great family. They loved. She was coming into for connection. He validated a few validations for her. He told me that he was going to leave her coins, to look for the coins. And, she had brought his shirt that she had just ironed, his work shirt, and she was hugging it during the whole reading. And, we're going, and then her husband communicates to me that she's angry and to ask her why. So I did. I said, "Please tell me why or who you're angry with. Your husband keeps saying you're angry." She says, "Yes, I am angry with God." And I looked at her and I said, "Why would you be angry with God?" And she said, "Well, he took my husband." Not he. She said he, but we know God is neither he nor she. She said, "He took my husband from me after 20 years, and I don't think I will ever forgive him." And she's got tears coming down her eyes. And I looked at her and I said, "But hon," I said, "think about it this way. If God would have came to you before you and your husband married and said that y'all could live happily for 20 years and have two beautiful boys, would you have not married your husband?" And she said, "No, I love him. And we had a beautiful relationship." I said, "Well, there you go. You've answered it." I said, "You had 20 beautiful years with your husband. Do you know the people that go through life and never find true love? Never understand the meaning of true love?" And when she looked at me, I said, "You really have to take care of those two boys." And as I said that, she clutched his shirt and coins fell out of his shirt, onto actually some on the table, some on the floor. And she looked at me with eyes this big, and she says, "Sid," she said, "I just ironed that shirt. There were no coins." And I said, "I know. Your husband just told you he was going to leave you coins." And I said, "That's letting you know, that's a physical validation that your husband is letting you know that he's still with you. And he wants you to raise those boys out of love and memories of your beautiful relationship and teach them how to love again and how to love." I said, that is so important in today's world. And she was crying, I was crying, and then when the reading was over, she gave me a big hug, and more coins came out of the shirt and hit the floor. So we had a witnessed physical event, during her session. And does that happen all the time? No. In this case, it was a very special moment. Does it happen? It's happened, yes, many times, more than once. But it doesn't happen every session. But every now and then you will get physical phenomena that happens. Another example, I was with my work wife. We were doing a group at a home, and we were reading everybody, and a phone just kind of landed by my feet, and I picked it up and I brought it back to the sofa. And we continued bringing through and giving validations of people that have passed. And again, the phone ends at my feet. I pick it up, I bring it back, and so we talked. And when we finished, everybody was like, they were happy with their session. They're like, they were like, we just have one question, because we always ask if there's any questions, and they said, you gave us a lot of great validation. She says, but why don't we see any miracles? And I looked at them and I said, well, how often do cell phones fly in your home? And they're like, what? I said, you did not see that cell phone go from the sofa to me like four to six times while we were having our session? And they had not even comprehended that. And so sometimes these miracles, as we get into the conversation of miracles, these miracles will happen to you, and they're so subtle that you may not even recognize them. And so I wanted you to be aware. So be aware. Pay attention. Pay attention to the little things that you normally would just say, that was the house settling. That was just because that glass had water on the bottom of it, that it sailed across the counter, but in a different direction. But anyway, so, or the cabinet doors, that was just the house moved or something, and the cabinet door opened and closed by itself. I mean, learn to notice miracles when they happen. They're very subtle. Lights flash. A song will come on. Speaking of songs, so my work wife and I were doing a group at my home. And we were reading this woman who, her and her husband were present. They were the last ones we went to. And her father came through, and we were giving validations of his existence. And she got very upset. And she just said, my father was not a nice man. And he was actually a leader he was a lawyer, but he was a leader in the KK movement in another state, which I'm not going to name. And while she's validating it, she's upset because it's her father. A phone goes off in the back of the room with another client we had just read. And it is her husband calling, and it's the old Big Bad John song, Big John, Big Bad John. And everybody looked like as it just burst out, and the whole room heard it. And we turned she looked and she saw that, and later called me back and gave me a validation. She said her husband said he didn't call her. So her phone just rang by itself. But I asked the lady while we were reading, I looked at it, I said, your dad's name wouldn't have been John, huh? And she goes, it was. His name was John. So that physical phenomena was created so that everybody could witness the physical phenomena during a session. And again, does that happen every time? No. Does it happen at the right time? Always. Always, always. I could give you, there's many more of these stories I could share. But that's what physical phenomena takes place. In a seance setting, when a physical medium is present, they usually go into a device called a cabinet. It's like a box that's blackened out, and the medium's usually put there and handcuffed to a chair because they want, if anything happens, they want evidence. They're trying to gather evidence, so they'll handcuff the medium. And it gets so brutal. Back in the earlier days, there were people who would literally nail people to floors who were physical mediums. Nail their hair, nail them to the floor so they couldn't get up, and things would still happen and walk around and move around the room. But they usually have a spirit team that works with them, different entities that will come through in different voices and different things. And like in physical mediumship, things will move around the room. Things will fly. Anything can happen. I mean, the spirit world can do anything. The energy there is so remarkable. But again, do I expect you to believe any of this? No, you won't until you experience it. And I've traveled the world. Like I said, after the death of my mother, I went on the mission of mediumship and learning about life after death. And I've got to witness many, many, many beautiful miracles. Beautiful miracles from in sessions, from going to live seances with physical mediums present. Hey, Hazel, I'm going to visit who are some physical mediums. Right now, I don't know any that's practicing right at this moment. Some of them are taking it, but COVID took a lot away from the physical medium world. That, and there was a scandal that kind of took a lot of energy from the physical medium world. But physical mediumship is around everywhere. But the physical mediums I'm speaking of, they could do it on command, meaning that they would go into trance states and things would just start happening around them. And again, in every session, there has to be a connection to a loved one with validation. And right after my father passed away, I took my little sister to a seance, and she got to speak to my grandmother and my father from the spirit world, and actually spoke to her in their voices and gave her some comfort and helped her with her grieving period. So that was just absolutely wonderful and healing for her, to be able to move on and understand that there are, to give her great validations of life beyond this. Yes, Scott Medium is a very good friend of mine, and he is a physical medium, but he's taking a break right now on his physical stuff. He's gaining his, I think what he's doing, he's gaining strength again because COVID, and he's not been able to sit in circle with his team to build his strength up. So he's trying to do that at this time. I don't know if he's ever going to go back and do it again. I don't know. That's a Scott question. Scott's a wonderful man, and he's a phenomenal. He's up there with the best physical mediums. Him, and there's a bunch more, but most of them have retired. The sad thing about physical mediumship, though, folks, is that many of them don't see late ages. They usually pass young unless they get out of it. There are a few that live to be older, but they limit because it takes a toll on the body to be able to do physical mediumship. But you don't need a physical medium, and that's my whole point here of telling you this, is that once you open your mind up and you open your ability to realize that these things just didn't happen nilly-willy, that they just didn't happen because of crazy things, you will see what I call little miracles every day in your life. Common things for me. These are just for me. Things move in my home regularly. I'll put something somewhere. No, I'll put it there. Come back, it's gone. I gotta go hunt it down. Doors open, cabinets will open. I can ask for a number of knocks, and I'll get those number of knocks that I asked for. And that's something that traveled from me from childhood. And if you've ever listened to Bedtime Stories with Sid, I don't know if I said that story. I'll have to go back and listen to them before I go back starting the series again. But when I was very young, and I used to have a babysitter, I would miss because my mom and dad worked a whole lot, so I would miss them, and when it got to be a certain time, if they weren't there, I would sit by the door, and then I would cry, and then the door would do a certain creak. I would hear in the door, and within 10 to 15 minutes, usually no more than 20, one of my parents would show up to come get me. And so I started I would not go to the door now until I heard the creak. And when I heard the creak of the door, then I would go. And one of my parents would show up like in no less than 20 minutes every time. And I got so used to listening for that noise that even today in my home, if I'm going to have guests, I will usually hear a creak in the door, and I know that I have someone coming over. So it works even till this day. And that'll tell me somebody's on their way. So, somebody that I didn't know, was on their way. If I know somebody's coming, sometimes it won't work. But if I don't know somebody's coming, I'll get a quick, I got somebody's going to ring my door, knock on my door in about between 10 and 20 minutes. Sure enough, every time it happens that way. So, it's just, like I said, look for the little things that you just think are coincidence. Look for the little things that when you start documenting it will all start make sense. And I would keep a little notebook and document it, and it'll make sense. And you will have some of those physical medium events. Everybody has them. I've seen them in so many houses that we go to. Just strange things that normally don't happen, like under normal circumstances. And the funnest one, I know I've told this story, and I haven't put it on Bedtime Stories with Sid yet because I haven't gotten to that decade. But, the one where I was doing laundry at my home watching TikTok with my phone up on the dryer while I'm folding clothes, and I'm in the dryer, and one of the dryer balls falls out to dry and rolls out of my laundry room and goes under this table, which was right outside my laundry room, which is in my den. And there's a picture of our business partner who passed away up on the fireplace looking like right at the laundry room. And I walk out and I look at her and I see her there smiling at me. And I looked and I said, you just want to see me get down on my knees and look under this table, right? So I got down on my knees, I looked under the table, ball wasn't there. So I figured it went. I figured common sense probably rolled past the table, probably went under the sofa. And I said I was going to wait till Magni got home to pick the sofa up because I wasn't picking the sofa up by myself. And, she used to always call me dumbass. And I went back to do laundry, and across the screen on TikTok was something that said dumbass. And I'm like, oh, you bitch. It was my old business, my old good best friend and business partner, Denise, who was making fun of me. And I'm like, but then the funny part was, as I reached in the dryer, both of the balls were there. That, you can't make that stuff up. That is a true story. Now again, did anybody witness that? Nobody but me. So I tell you, I'd like to tell you the witness stories first, but I also want you to be aware of the things that you might see when you're alone, or when you're thinking of a loved one, or you have a loved one's energy around you. The things that can happen, the flicking of the lights, the naming the song that you've always sang coming up on the radio right at the right time, the right moment. Different things can happen, and I just tell you, be aware. Be aware. And do I think it's special? Well, it's life. So it is, although it is special, I look at it as just a little blessing, just to make me think of that person, or to make me get a heart feel, about the person that's passed, that's coming from. And so that's a little bit with physical mediumship. And then there's trance mediumship, and that's also used in seances, but out of seances too. And basically what will be is someone will go into a trance state, and voices they will speak in other voices and other things, and smoothly speak in other voices and stuff. And that's trance mediumship. And then there's a side of healing that's part of mediumship, where you're channeling energy of loved ones or spirits or whoever, or healers, and you're channeling energy. It's not just your energy, but you're channeling that power through you to someone to help them with the healing. And I've seen some phenomenal things with that. When I was at Arthur Findlay, there is a wonderful healer there named Matthew Smith, and he was on stage, and he'd put his back to the audience, and he would say, the guy sitting 3 rows from the back, 5 chairs into the left, who has an earache, come on up to the stage. And sure enough, there would be a guy who had ear issues, ear pain, would come up and go. And when he's on the stage working, you could see the energy, like you could see, and you could feel the pull of the energy through. You could feel wind like around your legs and your feet. And I can tell you, during his session, I have a bad knee that I injured in my younger years, and the entire time it travels down my leg, so it travels down to my ankle, my foot, and from the knee to the ankle sometimes it's numb. Well, when he was working, that went away. Like I could feel my leg again. It wasn't numb anymore. I mean, everything was great, but the minute he stopped, it came back. So again, the spirit energy is also very healing. Tony Stockwell. Yes, I know Tony. I know Tony is the most amazing trance medium I've ever seen. Yes. So, yes, they have many of them out there. Scott's really good. Tony's good. God, what's his name? I had his name in my head, and it's out now, but he's now in New Zealand. And he's working and living in New Zealand now. He was and I studied under him for a bit too, when I was doing my travels. And his name will come to me and I'll say it. But he was another good physical medium. But again, COVID took a lot of that away from him. And there's a lot of good trance mediums out there. I know many of them, they channel many different things. And I've seen many transfigurations. I've actually created things in trance. So when I was in studying at Arthur Findlay, and anybody knows what Arthur Findlay is, it is a college for mediums in England, and it's the mediumistic arts is their main focus. They do trance stuff and they do some psychic stuff, but mostly mediumship. And it's like Hogwarts for mediums, and it's in Stansted, England, right outside of London. So you fly into London, take a little bus and a taxi, and you're there. But studying there, I got to study under the phenomenal Glenn Edwards, who has passed away. A lot of my teachers now have passed away. A lot of my great mentors. I want Scott to hang in there because he's one of my mentors. I want him to hang in there for a long time. Because Scott is wonderful. I've taken my students that I've taught to see a lot of these people, like Scott, Mavis Patilla. Mavis isn't here no more. Some people I've sent to Glenn, who's not here anymore. And I used to study with Tom here locally. Well, studied with Tom in New Orleans. He was the parapsychology teacher at UNO. He was also a medium who took me to Chesterfield to study at a spiritualist camp before I even knew there was even a place in England. And he's passed away. So a lot of my mentors have passed, but Glenn was phenomenal, and Glenn brought out the physical characteristics in myself. When I go into trance, Hazel, I can actually push out one of my guides so you can see them with the naked eye. And it's happened. And the only people that's got me down deep enough to do that was Scott got me there and Glenn got me there. Glenn actually put me down while I was in England in front of 120 students and put me down, and I was able to push out one of my spirit people, and they were able to see them with the naked eye and tell me what the spirit person did. And I saw that in my third eye while I was in trance. I actually thought this was a great validation for me. And then Scott did that in one of his classes for me as well. Talked about the Asian guy, because mine's an Asian guy with a long beard, and Scott, I saw him go out and nod at everybody, and Scott says, how many of y'all saw the Asian guy come out of the cabinet? Now the room was dark, but Scott was able to, because he's a great medium and able to see things. He said, how many of y'all saw the Asian guy come out and nod at everybody? That actually came from me. Hey, Chris. So I've been able to push that person a few times. Also, when I go into trance, things happen, like people hear my voice miles away. It's happened twice with my work wife, where she's actually heard my voice when I wasn't present and I was miles away somewhere. And not just she heard it, other people heard my voice. It wasn't just her hearing it. Other people in the room would hear my voice while I'm out. I can send it. And one time when I was teaching, I was actually teaching mediumship, but I was teaching trance, and I'm teaching people how to go down and get into the space. So my work wife was 7 miles away at my store, and she was, hey Tina, she was hearing my voice. It kept coming out, and her clients kept hearing my voice. She goes, y'all hear Sid? She was just, because she needed to figure out where we had a gallery the night. She wouldn't know where the gallery was. So she kept coming, Sid here, because I need to figure out where the gallery is. And Sid's not here. And I was 7 miles away, and she kept hearing my voice. And then even more freaky happened. So I created this communication thing between her and I, or between the center, where people could hear my voice from my center to my home. But then she got dressed to go move her car in this little room, and people went in that room while she was getting dressed, and they didn't see her. And it's a small room. It's like a 10 by 10 room with nothing in it. So she was in there changing, and nobody saw her. So she literally, when she stepped into a void that nobody see, and it was crazy. It was people still are shocked. People at the center witnessed that. Her clients witnessed that. So that was something else that happened. That was part of physical phenomena that I've created. But I cannot do it on command. And that's the thing. In order to be a physical medium where you go out and you tour and you bring people in, you have to be able to do it on command. And honestly, I can't. I haven't table tipped in years, because the master table tipper, who's also deceased, who was one of my mentors, was Victor Vonyanex. And but I did an event last year in the French Quarter. We went to the Apocalypse, and they have a seance room with a table in it. And this table's heavy. 8 people couldn't lift this table. It was heavy. And when we started singing and praying over it, that table started to move, and everybody was freaking out. So that was probably less. I don't do a lot of table tipping since Denise has gone. I mean, because I really don't have a place to do it, I'm not going to do it at my home, because when the table hits the ground, I got marble floors. You're not messing up my marble floors. But if I found a place and I found a good table, I don't like little tables. I like big tables. I like the phenomena to be real. And when there's a little table, it looks like people are pushing it. So I like a big, heavy table. When you see a 400-pound table or 200-pound table gliding across a room and standing up on two legs and walking across a room, that's a little more believable. And I really wish that we could have caught it on film, some of the things that I've seen on table that I think that you just beyond a shadow of a doubt. A beautiful story in table tipping, which is a physical phenomena act. We were doing table tipping with Victor one night. It was a family, and the mom of the family was studying to be a medium at the time. And the family was all like, "Yeah, this ain't real." But when they were at table, they started moving, like, "Oh, somebody's pushing it." But then it was her dad that came through, and him and her used to dance together, and the table stood up on two legs, and he made her stand up, and they were dancing. This 200-pound table in this room, the table was dancing with her, all, around a little area of the room. They were dancing, and the table gently set her back down. The table went down real slow, by itself, and her family were like, "I can't explain it. I can't explain it." I'm like, there are a lot of, it's not about being a non-believer, but it's about being aware. Just, when you see something, give it some credit. So if y'all want to see some of the little miracles in your life, give it some credit. That's important. Acknowledge it. The more you acknowledge it and the more you're not afraid of it, the more you would see. Table tipping is a lot like, and please don't freak out, well, I'm not going to use the word. It's a lot like the planchette on a talking board, because as you sing and pray, the table will start to move and it will talk. It will talk to you. I've seen it talk. I've seen the table talk. Literally, I've heard a table tell my sister and other people, "I love you," or "I care," or "hope you get better." And the table will move and make noises, and actually those noises will turn into words. And so I've seen that in table tipping. I've seen tables move by themselves. One day we were at the center, and one of my other students was in the room two of my students were in a room doing a trance session with our talking table that we use, our big table that we use for table tipping. And I was in another room with another student working on a play. And the spirit person that's in the play wanted the name to be changed, so the table in that room kept flying across the room by itself and hitting the door, to the point that I had to get up, go in there, and see what was going on. And as I'm opening the door, the table's still slamming. I finally had to say to the person, I don't want to say the name, but I'll make up a name, "Cheryl, let me in, or I can't see what you want." And the table moved away real slow and sat down, and I opened the door and we had a conversation. And that table carried those nicks for a long time from slamming up. So those are just those are some physical phenomena, things that do happen. And again, I'm not a special person. I don't possess some gift that everybody's able to possess these things. It's about your path. It's about your energy. It's about your love. It's about your belief. And you can experience those things as well. Somebody's saying they were there. That is Maria. Maria says she was there for that. Good. So, yep. So these things are possible. And so open yourself up to miracles of life. How many times have people, you experience something like that just didn't happen, or that's just like, well, it was just, God did it. Well, or the angels did it, or whatever, but whatever, those are miracles. God does miracles. Angels do miracles. Whatever you want to call it, it can do miracles. And so pay attention to those. Those are life's little blessings. And every day now, when I work through life, I look for those little blessings. I see them all the time in the hospital. And sometimes little blessings are surrounded, so little miracles or blessings are surrounded by a lot of chaos. And so sometimes you have to get the chaos away from you so that you can focus on the miracle that's sitting right in front of you. Remember that. Please remember that as you go through life, and try to welcome miracles, and don't be afraid of them. They're not there to hurt you. Nothing that the energy creates from the other side is going to hurt you, unless you're messing with energy you shouldn't be. Now let's talk about that. So we talked about my friend Victor, that I miss very dearly. Him and his wife Esther. Esther's still here. No, Esther passed too, I think they wrote me Esther passed too, I believe. Anyway, Victor was a phenomenal table tipper. He was the best I've ever seen, and I've seen a few. Hey, Kim. But Victor, as he got up in age, so you raise the energy by singing, by praying, and you raise the energy, and the energy in the room is what creates the movement in the table. It's what it is we raise the energy so that the spirit world can lower their energy to make connection to you. And so when that's happening, okay, and that table is moving and doing all that it's doing, it is a combination of the energy of the spirit and the energy of the group that's on the table, creating that bond, okay? And that's what moves it. And I've seen tables climb walls. I've seen them walk. I've seen them talk. I've seen smoke fill a room and then the spirit form on top of the table. That's a whole nother story. I've seen people go in trance at table. I think I told you that story last week. I know I told that story in February, because it's a February story. It was Valentine's Day story. But anyway, and so, there are so many miracles. And one of the funniest table tipping stories that I have is we had gone on a paranormal investigation and history investigation. And I know a lot of spiritualists don't like the paranormal because to me, it's normal. And so I am more on the spiritual side than I am the paranormal side. But I will go into a place to feel history, because you can go into a place and sense the history. Now, we taught that on the cruise this time, and we've actually did that on we did a ghost tour, and we took people to places to feel the energy and come back and tell their stories, and allowed them to get their mediumship connection. In fact, my besties were there for this one. When we went to Chalmette, and then we went to a bar where there was a murder that took place, and everybody could sense the murder. Every person, I think we had 15 people, all 15 people at different times came back with accurate information about where the murder took place and what it entailed, what people wore, and it was all validated by the people who knew of the murder. So it was really a cool thing to see, that just to prove to people that everybody can do this. Everybody can sense history. Okay, as long as you don't overread into it. You have to just go there and sense it, and what you give, you get when you're doing history. Now, when you're doing a reading, it's a little different. We'll talk about that in a moment. But when you go through and you can feel the energy shift, you can feel the exchange or the difference of the feel from point A to point B, and figure out what's causing that change. And on the ship, when we were on the ship for Touching Eternity, we actually had the students go to different areas of the ship to feel the difference in the patterns of the energy. Going into the theater because of the acoustic, and going in, hey Stacy, and like we had people go into the theater, sense the energy. People go to the engine room or out on the deck where all the activity's loud and the energy's kind of scattered, and feel. We took them to different places on the boat so that they could sense how things felt. And what we're doing is we were teaching people how to feel, like how to know and understand that shift in energy, just like they did in the restaurant. And my besties did it in the restaurant, and they were really good with it, because you could definitely feel when that murder took place. When you walked to that restaurant, the shift was very obvious. And so that would tell you that that's where the murder happened, because you could feel the shift. And that's why we used that restaurant, because I knew of that shift. So that way people could actually, who are not into this type of thing or don't do this on a regular basis, could know beyond a shadow of a doubt. Give them a shout out. My besties, they're online right now. It's Jamie and Mark Laustalot. They were there. I don't know if Stacy was there for the bus. She was on the boat with us. I don't know who else was on the hot bus with us. Yes, Mark got it fast. Mark's really good at feeling his senses. He gets it. He got it. He got it fast. He says, I definitely feel the change right here. And I was like, no, that's it. You got it. And we didn't, like I said, they had to come to us separately. Like, we didn't do it in a group where everybody could overhear it. Like, and people came to us and they kept giving us information. All of it was validated. It was truly a great session. So try some things like that. Go to an old place and just sit. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. Just go see what you get. Just go there and just sit and just, what do you feel? What do you see? And what do you experience? And what do you hear? What do you smell? What do you taste? What do you, just put it all together and see what you get. Put the story together. Put the story together is the key element in that. And again, folks, this is the last class I probably will do on mediumship for a little while. I am trying to get Miss Janice back because we have a couple of big astrology things coming up. So I am going to try to get Miss Janice back. It will have to be when Magni's here in town, which is maybe next week, because he has to be able to hook into Google Meets to bring Miss Janice on. So I may arrange that for next week. So we may go into a little bit more about astrology and what's happening around the globe next week. So be sure to join, because y'all loved Miss Janice. Everybody loved Miss Janice. So we'll bring her. We'll try to get her back. Zita's gonna have to go with her with a computer and get her on Google Meets, and then we'll bump her in so everybody can see her, so she can talk, and because I'm 2 hours away from her right now. But anyway. Back to physical, so they have physical medium, mental mediumship, trance mediumship, healing mediumship. All those are forms of mediumship. It's all channeling energy, moving energy, or sensing energy, and giving that story, be able to verbalize that story. That's what mediumship is. And spiritualism, for people who didn't know, spiritualism is a philosophy. It's also a religion, but spiritualism is what defines a medium. You don't have to be a spiritualist to be a medium, but by definition, if you're a spiritualist, you are, you're looking for validations too. You don't have to be a medium. Everybody's born a medium, but spiritualism is what defines mediums, because it is the act of giving validations of life that has transitioned. It's after transition validations. Can I name the bar? I can now, because it's not there no more. That bar closed down. So it was the bar next to the Battlefield, which they owned both of them, and it was the country and western side. I forget the name. Jamie, what's the name? Put it up. Oh, there's a name for it. It was a country western bar in Chalmette. It's closed right now because the guy that owned them has sold all his bars, actually. I think he's sold them all. So right now they're empty, because he owned about 7 bars or 8 bars. I think all of them are, I know at least 4 of them have closed. I don't know all of the ones that he had owned, but it was the one next to the Battlefield right there on Paris Road. At the end of Paris Road, right before you go across on the ferry, right there to the left. If you're going towards the ferry, it's on the left. And so that was the bar where the murder had took place. So that was really, I think it was called, I can't remember the name. I called it the Battlefield, but it was the bar next to the Battlefield, because it was a bar they never really opened. They opened the Battlefield side. They didn't use the other side that much except for events, and they would allow me to use it for events. But I counted as part of the Battlefield. I don't know, one of my people from that area, like Jamie and Mark or Celeste, might be able to name that bar. Name that bar in 2 notes. No, I'm just kidding. TV show. Anyway, so that's the different types of mediumship. That's the different styles. That's the different things. And then we talked about miracles, being aware of miracles, being aware that they happen around every person every day. And who knows, if Daphne signs in, she knows the name, but if she signs in tonight. But anyway, that was Jamie saying she doesn't remember the name of the bar. So thank you for the hearts, guys. Thank you for all the things y'all do for me. But anyway, so miracles happen to you daily. So pay attention to your surroundings. Look at that feather that just happens to be there when you're thinking of someone that has passed away. Or that bird that does weird stuff around you and just kind of follows you and haunts you. The butterflies that show up whenever you think of someone, that thought and the butterfly come simultaneous. Those are really good. I think I told y'all too many times a story about the hurricane and the black bird that ended up on somebody's bench that I predicted a week before it happened. I mean, those are just common little miracles. Common little miracles. The best, one of the best miracles that Trenny and I had. Speaking of Trenny, my work wife, I mentioned her a few times tonight. She is coming back to New Orleans, not this weekend, but next weekend. Her and I are going to be doing some stuff. They will be posted later tonight. We will have a gallery. We'll also be taking people on if they want a session with us. If somebody wants a group, please write me. If you want a group, not this is Mother's Day weekend, so not this weekend, the following weekend. I know it's graduation time, but if anybody wants a group, Trenny's coming in. This is her trip for the month of May. She has some makeup to do, but we're going to do stuff together Friday and Saturday. She'll be working probably Friday, Saturday, Sunday, probably Monday too. Together, her and I is just going to be Friday and Saturday, because Sunday I usually head back to Hattiesburg. And so that's not this weekend. That's going to be next weekend. So if somebody wants a group, if it's a big enough group, we'll come. We may even come to your house if it, depending on what we book. But please get with me. You can get with me on Messenger if you would like a session with me and Trenny, or if you want to get a group together. Please message me. Like I said, she'll be in that weekend. She's asked me to try to get something together for us. Tina, does the name Tony Rivera ring a bell? Yes, it does ring a bell. Office. Yeah, well, yeah, so it's right next. Yes, so that's kind of where all that was. So that whole area has a bunch of murders. So yes, I knew about the bail bond. The bail bonds was right next to the bar, but there was one inside the bar. So they had a couple of murders right within a few feet of one another. Being in that area, because it was right there by the river when, it was actually across the street was a war, so Battlegrounds was right there. So it's a lot of murder in that neck of the woods. So again, that's what we had. That the tour we did was a haunted history tour of the Chalmette area, where we went to multiple locations where they had all kinds of crazy murders and stuff. We even went by the nursing home that during Katrina, they had handcuffed all those people to their beds and their chairs, and they all drowned. We passed that. So we told this, the history of that and stuff. So we did that, and then we did a gallery. We did readings for everybody that was on the bus with us, and the bus air conditioner went out, and it was hot. One of the air conditioners went out, and had two, but one of them went out, and people in the back of us, we were all dying back there. So. I can't think of the name right now, but it was called something that I want to say, I can't. Daphne knows it. I don't know it. But anyway, so Trenny and I are going to be doing some more events like that. Trenny does want to go to the Myrtles with a bunch of people to do work, and so. If people are interested in that, we may do that one weekend night, probably in the winter or whatever. I usually like to get one of the cabins outside. We had some table tipping and some phenomena happen it was the St. Rita's nursing home. Yes. And Sal was the name. Yes. But it wasn't the bar. There was a guy I think named Sal that had the nursing home too. Yes. believe his name was Sal too. I have all the history packed away because I saved it in case we do another one. Yes, that bar has changed names many times. But anyway, guys, that's phenomena. Those are miracles, the things that you see, the things that happen. You know, Christine Morgan, she's another medium that teaches at Arthur Findlay. She went to with me when we booked our first. Trini and I used to go every month of October in the French Quarter to Tableau restaurant, and up in the wine cellar where they have, it's a haunted wine cellar. They got videos of the wine bottles just flying off the wall by themselves. Physical phenomena because they got it on video and everybody can see it. We were doing galleries up there, and they were serving dinners, and we would do a gallery and talk to people's loved ones who were at the table. Well, Christine with me to go because we had to sign a contract with them. And so Christine Morgan went with me the first time, and she was sitting in the right outside the restaurant in a little sitting area. And she picked up the entire history of that building, including the name of the person who lived there and everything. Like it was an office. It was an office for the government, and she told them who the guy was and what he did and everything. She picked it all up just sitting, and that's what I'm saying. So if you can just sit and be quiet for a while, the walls will talk to you. The energy of the area will talk to you. And so if you can pay attention and learn to understand it and create that language with the other side, you too can do this. So, all right, it's getting late. So I want to do some cards for people. So I'm going to pull 2 cards. I prefer you to ask me a question, or I can just pull a card. If a lot of you, for some reason, don't like to ask questions. It is harder for me to see on TikTok than it is on the big screen over here, because you're on my phone. So I will try to see if you're on TikTok to do a reading for you. And somebody's asking me if I'm okay with the tornadoes, my boss. Anyway, because we've had 2 tornadoes now come by. And it's supposed to rain to 8:30 in the morning, but I think the worst part is over now. Anyway, who wants me to pull? Who has a question for me first? If nobody is bold enough to ask a question, then I'll just pull you a card. Just say, either give me a question or say, card, please. And then I will pull them for you. And I am looking at both locations to see who's typing in. I will give you all a few minutes. So Christy Bateman would like a card, please. She doesn't want to ask a question. Okay, I'm going to pull a card. Oh, girl. For you, this is a tough one. 10 of Swords, Christy. So what that says to me is watch yourself. There is things happening right now that you have to be careful about, and I wouldn't sign anything right now. I'd be very, very careful. Also, Christy, I got the bottle. So I don't know if that's related to whoever's might be trying to stab you in the back or do something that's not appropriate. Please pay attention to that. Jamie, would you do me a favor, love? Would you go onto TikTok, because I know you can do both? And could you tell me if somebody speaks on TikTok, because I really can't see the TikTok that well because it's on my cell phone. Okay, and then I'm going to go down. And then Tina wants a card. Tina, I got the Chariot. I think you're going to be going on a journey of some kind really, really soon, so I pay attention to that. And let's see what else I picked up. The Chair. So what the chair symbolizes, for me is stability. It's, I think right now you're trying to find your stability right now, and I think that the trip might be good in just helping you sort your mind, get things together. I think that's why those 2 came together. Okay, Tina, and then I have Jamie wants a card. Jamie, please, I want you to speak for the people on TikTok for me. Okay, and this is for Jamie. Jamie, I got number 10, families. I think there's a family event that's going to be transpiring. That's going to make you feel really happy. But I think with the family event comes a little bit of darkness, a little bit of sadness of what happens with the event. And example, that could be something that happens with an in-law, and you know, it's all about family and stuff. But I think that it will help the family in the long run. So I'm going to say that to you. And my next one is Sarah. Hi, Sarah. Now, everybody just wants cards. Nobody wants a question. All right, so I'm going to pull cards. All right. Oh, so what I got is that I've got the Three of Wands here, and that's about looking into your future and paying attention to, and not paying attention to where you've been and focus more on your present moment and what's coming before you. And then the color blue. The color blue means for me to tell you to communicate. Communication is a key for you to move forward. Being able to say what you feel and be real with it, but be professional with it is really, really, really important. So I'm going to say that to you. And my next one is, I got to do the puzzle piece. Give me a minute on TikTok. Puzzle piece. There we go. That's done. All right. Now, next is, that was Sarah. Then my next one is Lisa. All right, Lisa. Lisa, I also have a trip. You got the Six of Swords, which I think that it's. I also find that it's another one of my travel cards. But I also got the butterfly for you. So that also tells me there's beauty in travel. There's beauty in moving things. There's beauty in things helping you feel free again. So I think this is just saying you to set yourself free, remove the chains that have been going around you, and move forward with your life. And that was Lisa. And then I have Celeste asked me please see if she asked me a question. I love you, Celeste. See if you see any of my abundance around me. Been feeling someone trying to hurt me, said. Well, darling, you and I need to have a conversation sometime. You need to message me and book a 30-minute free session with me just to talk about those things so we can really get down to it. Okay? And let's see what I got. Okay, so what I do have is there's battle over you. You've got the Five of Wands and the bathing suit. There is somebody creating turmoil around you. And I think it's more about controlling you. And so it's whether you're going to give in or not. And I think that's something you need to be aware of. So pay attention to that. I need to go kick some butt by you. Anyway. Jessica wants a card. Thank you, Jamie. And Cheryl wants a card. Okay. This one is for Jessica. Jessica, you've got infinity and death. So what I think that is not the end of your life. What I think it is, it's great change. It's going to change your life. There are things that are about to happen, Jessica, that's going to change your life drastically. That is a common infinite movement for you, a constant thing that's going to happen. So pay attention. Be aware that change is coming, and it's going to help you make great moves. Pay attention to that, Jessica. And then I need a card for Cheryl. Thank you, Jamie, for keeping people posted. Let me pull this one and pull this one. Okay, what I got the Blinded Woman and the Crown. And this card is for Cheryl. So Cheryl, what that's telling me is watch how other people treat you. Don't allow people to come in and make demands of you that aren't appropriate. Make sure people are treating you right and kindly. Never let someone take over your personal space. I think that's something I want you to open your eyes to. I think there's someone out there that might be trying to do a little bit of that to you. And it could be a friend, could be a family member, could be a lover, could be any of those things. But I want you to pay attention to that and know that you got to start setting boundaries with those people. And if they are being too negative, you need to push away, get those energetics and push that negativity away. And then I'm doing Cousin Mike. I've got the King of Pentacles and the bed. King of Pentacles and bed for Cousin Mike. So what that tells me is that in order for you to achieve and move on your journey, you have to put your first foot forward in order for it to happen. The journey won't happen, and it can't give you any value in this life unless you make the decision to start it. That's the difference between the bed and the Knight of Pentacles. The Knight of Pentacles is a guy who he's on his mission, he's on his journey, he's all about value in his life, creating value. The bed, though, suggests that he has not figured it out yet. He's trying to get moving in that direction. So work on that, putting your foot forward. And that's for you, Cousin Mike. And Tina next week. maybe sometime we can try something a little different. Everyone who has your symbology card should pull two for you to see how they read them. So what I will do 1 week is that when I think next week I'm going to definitely try to have Miss Janice on, because I have to do it when Magny's here, because he knows how to hook up the Google Meets and bring people in and all that kind of stuff. So but what I will do is, I also have to be a week when Magny's in, because he sets the cameras up that I can show the board plus talk to you. And so that way we can do some readings together. And you would have to, but the thing is, if y'all pulling cards for me, I can't see them because I can't see you. So unless you're on Google Meets, I can't see you. So what I can do one night, it can't be a Wednesday because Wednesday is the podcast, is I will see if anybody wants to email me or message me if they want to join a group, a Google Meets group, where we work with the symbology cards together. And then they can pull cards for me. So I can't do that on podcast night, but I can do that on a different night. Like I will announce it. I'll post it on my website. I'll post it on Facebook. I will mention it in the podcast. But I will set up a night where we can do a Google Meets. I can invite like 10 to 12 people who have the symbology cards, and we can practice with them together. I'm willing to do that. Also, I said this last week, and I will say it again. For those of you who don't have a deck of the symbology cards, I will show them to you. Here they are. If you email me that you want a reading with symbology cards, because you want to own them, you have to message me on Messenger. We have to set up a time. I'm going to give you a mini reading, and for the price of the reading, I'm going to mail you a deck of symbology cards. That reading it'll be a very short reading, like maybe 5-10 minutes, but it's $25, and you will get a pack of symbology cards of your own, because I can't sell them, but I can give them. So with that $25 reading, you will get your own deck of symbology cards, because I do have many left from the store. So, girl, Jamie, I see you. I see you all the time. You just gotta come. We do it one day when you're visiting. And that way you can get your very own deck of symbology cards. You want the reading with the symbology cards? To book a reading like with tarot cards with me, and I don't mind pulling those symbologies, that you do on my website. But if you want the symbology reading, message me on Messenger. And I have to find a time. Like I said, it's going to be only like a 5 to 10 minute time frame, and you're going to give me your address. And after the reading, I will mail you once I get the payment for the reading, I will mail you or drop them off to your house if I'm in your neighborhood. I will give you a symbology deck so that you can have your own. Okay, so they come that way. Anyone else? Oh, Jamie's asking anyone else with a card. What's me pull? So nope. So it looks like card readings are officially over. Please stay safe. I don't think this weather's coming towards you. It seems like every Wednesday we have a tornado. I'm like calling it Tornado Wednesdays. I hope you enjoyed the talk tonight. I hope you enjoyed the lecture tonight about mediumship, about trance, about the different styles, and about miracles. I will probably put a course together about miracles and how to attract them. But I will let you know. Hazel says, I never did get a deck. I live in Nashville. You take PayPal. So what you will do, Hazel, is if you message me. I don't do PayPal. I do Square. I do Square. I do Venmo, or I do Venmo. You can Venmo me. But once I get the payment, we'll set up a reading. During the reading, you can give me the payment. I will read you. And then once that's done, then you will give me your address, and I will put them in the mail to you. Okay? All right, folks. It's been a wonderful time. Please stay safe. I hope the tornadoes don't come your way. Let them stay here and keep me safe. That's fine. The lights didn't even go off, but we're going to have rain to 8 a.m. I don't know. What's it doing in New Orleans, guys? Those of you that are in New Orleans, what's the weather like in New Orleans right now? Is it raining? Or is that just up here? Anybody can tell me what the weather's like in New Orleans? Message me. It's no raining. Tina says no. So no raining. Well, I hope it doesn't come your way. I'll stay safe. My apartment is in the middle of the building, so unless the tornado comes right through here, like literally through here, I'm probably okay. I'm more afraid of the hail because there was hail with this tornado, and we didn't get any of the hail, so I was very happy about that because hail would damage my car. And I want to come home. I'm coming home on Friday. I'll be in New Orleans Friday. I am booking readings for Saturday. I have some openings. I think I have 2 openings left on Saturday. If somebody wants a live session that's in New Orleans on Saturday. Saturday night, I think my friend Jamie's let me know she may be able to go out. She wasn't able to go, but now she said she might be able to go out with me. So it'll be good to go sing because I'm feeling so much better. Baton Rouge is overcast but clear. Good. Y'all don't want this what's coming through here. Cause it was really worse last week. Man, last week the sky was green. It was crazy. It might rip about later on. It's moving east. I know that, so it would have already hit y'all if it's hit me because it was moving pretty much kind of east and north. Yep, I need my Jamie Tom too. All right, teams. Thank you for joining me. Magni only has very limited time with me this month, so I need to get away from the computer and go spend some time with him. We're only going to see each other for maybe 3 to 4 days this whole month until the middle of June. So it's been really bad. I know coming here in Nashville. Hazel, I might. We read so many people all over the country. I don't know. I do have a few in Nashville. In fact, I'm actually coming up to Nashville soon. So I don't know if that's who I'm going to see. I don't know. So the name sounds familiar. I read a Karen Miller, but I don't know. I don't know if that's the same one. That's a common name. Yes. All right, folks. I love you guys. I will talk to you later. Take care.